Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 men.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Does it feel like it's here?
It feels close.
My God, that voice still gets me every time.
It's getting better.
It's deeper.
I'm getting closer to being my normal voice, which not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, a good thing. But as I get closer to having my normal voice, the football season gets closer as well.
The normal season begins, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not going to be normal.
Well, hopefully it's abnormal in a good
In a good way.
In a great way. So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that Jay Bateman said yesterday.
Okay.
He was asked about, maybe this defense being a bit more exotic. And one of the things that I found interesting was he had a little smirk at the end of it. It was like, look, we had some issues last year on the back end. We feel much better about where we are right now. And I don't have the exact line, but he kind of like, it was a little bit of like, we're going to be a little more exotic.
He said Mike Elko's exotic defense is about to bloom.
Bloom. Yeah.
I think that's what the word he used was bloom. And I asked Des Riggs if there's any chance that he's going to be blitzing from the corner position, and he said something like, "Yeah, I think we got something more, working up or something like that." So
a lot of praise for Des Riggs yesterday.
Yeah, there's a lot, and hopefully he lives up to all that, because if he does, that corner spot on the opposite Will Lee gets shored up, and it needs to be.
One of the things Coach Bateman said about Des, that he's known him since he's been in 8th grade, right? So that just shows you, he's only been at A&M. This is obviously his second season at A&M, but that relationship goes back years, as is typically the case in college football recruiting. But this is years of cultivating a relationship, knowing the ins and outs of a player. And Jay Bateman seemed very confident about where Des Riggs stands today.
Yeah, he does. He was very, like you said, complimentary of him, and he was saying, look, last year he was essentially a freshman because he didn't play. If he played, it was minimal at Alabama, and in a new system and all these things. And he even said, look, he has to get better. He knows he had to get better. He said he started okay, but started to struggle. He said, I know it. He knows it. We've addressed it. All those things. So they expect a lot more out of him. He's about to intercept the ball against Arkansas there. That's the best play he made all year. But it showed the ability is there.
Yeah, look, he was a 5-star for a reason. Mm-hmm. Now it's just the bloom. Has it happened?
Yeah, it's got to happen for him too.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, he needs to not only bloom, but grow into something amazing.
Another thing Coach Bateman talked about yesterday was the defensive line. And while there aren't the first and second day NFL pick guys yet on that defensive line, he did say, I have a lot of options. Lots of options across the line. Defensive tackle, the edge. He's got different looks and different people that can step up to the task.
Yeah, there's no shortage of possibility. It's just that, are they going to play to a high level? Now, if I said, do you think Cassius Howell is going to play to a high level? What are your confidence meter on 1 to 10? Some might say 8, some might say 9. I think maybe the key to that defensive line this year is maybe DJ Hicks. Is he going to become what we've always envisioned that he could be? Because I think there's a lot of optimism about Cassius Howell, and you pretty much know what you're going to get from Regis. And that other end spot, you got so many guys that you would think at least one of them's going to hit.
Nick's actually got a couple of those sound bites for us, so let's listen to Coach Bateman. And I want, for those watching on the CW and on YouTube, to take a look at Bateman's face at the end of it. Sorry to be Zapruder film somebody's facial actions, but to me, there was a lot of confidence in the way he delivered that with his face.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong on this, all right? Here's Jay Bateman.
Yeah, so last year, we got to a point during the season where, the coverage piece of it was a little bit scarier for us than it has been, where I think now we feel really good about that. And we also had some edge guys, some D linemen that were pretty good one-on-one pass rushers. So it kind of morphed that way a little bit, where I think you'll see, I think Coach Elko's exotic stuff is in bloom. How about that? We got a pretty good plan coming, I think, third down wise.
There's a little, yeah. I'm probably reading into it too much, but
I don't know if he amused himself by coming up with the,
or maybe he was laughing at the word exotic.
Maybe, but look, there's no doubt though. Elko has a reputation for these exotic blitzes. Exotic meaning that you don't know from where the blitz is coming from, and is it going to be you don't see a lot of corner blitzes, but he'll do it. And I was looking it up in his 4 years as defensive coordinator here. The blitz is not defined that by sacks from a defensive back or a linebacker. They always had at least 8.5 and as many as 11.5 sacks from those positions, and it was 6 last year.
Yeah. So we can see a few more. Let's listen to, we talked about it, the bite on Des Ricks. And again, I hear a lot of confidence in his voice when it comes to this young man.
So I love Des Ricks. I've known him since he was in 8th grade. I think unfairly we asked him to play 650 snaps as a redshirt freshman at one of the more competitive, most challenging things that a young man can do, which is play press corner, field corner in the SEC. So I think he had a really good start to his career. I think obviously drifted at the end. He knows that. I know that. We're reminded of that very frequently. But I think he has really embraced this camp. I think he's been one of the shining stars of this camp. And I have a lot of faith and confidence in that kid.
One of the shining stars of this camp. If that's the case for the season, one of the shining stars for the season, then I do think it magically changes the way I look at 8-4, 9-3 to more favorable.
Absolutely. That's one of the areas that you're going to have the most apprehension. So if all those questions are answered in a positive way, then absolutely you start saying, okay, this could be, we talk about it could be a 10-win team. Well, he's one of the keys to that.
Yep. Now, I'm going to bring up a topic that I really don't care about the soundbite, okay?
Okay.
I really don't care. It does not hurt my feelings. There's nothing about it and maybe I shouldn't even bring it up. You don't know where I'm going.
I have no idea.
Okay. So before I get to the soundbite, it's not even a soundbite. I'm going to read a line, okay?
Okay.
Before I get there, do you remember, I know you do because you were there, Armage at SEC Media Days, the Texas guy trying to get him into a conversation, and my feelings are hurt. Oh, Armage, the little look that he gave. Oh, remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think Texas fans or media in general would be offended by someone on A&M's roster saying, our tough games this year, Notre Dame, Auburn, and LSU?
A Texas fan probably would be.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care what offends them, or I don't care what offends anybody. But in this particular instance, I wouldn't care what.
Bulletin board material.
But absolutely.
Okay. Do you know where I'm going with this now?
Not yet. No.
Anthony Hill. I actually found Anthony Hill to be a very likable young man. Okay. Not that I'm surprised. There are likable men at Rivals all the time. He was very nice at SEC Media Days when we were there. There's a quote where he pointed out that Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Florida as games that stand out to him on his schedule.
Okay.
That could mean 100 things. That could mean to me, those are the teams I can think of off the top of my head. And, there's A&M too. I didn't think about them for a second. Or that could be a direct slight to A&M. It could be 1,000 things. And I honestly don't care.
No, I mean, I don't either. It could be that he felt slighted by A&M.
Yeah.
Because the way Jimbo and his recruiting staff butchered that at the end. So,
or maybe he read the tea leaves and didn't see the whole bite from Armage. He's like, oh, yeah, you guys think that? Let me show you this.
or maybe he just
doesn't matter.
Mentioned teams that came off the top of his head. I think, he's a good player, hell of a player.
I think I'm pretty good at. I don't care what other fan bases say because you're supposed to hate and make fun of other teams. That's what you do in college football. Doesn't like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If
that's your stick, that's your stick.
And I don't know if that's a stick or again,
no. I'm not saying for Anthony. I'm just saying in general. I mean, there's a guy who's built a business doing jokes and being a joke himself. You know.
Yeah, I get whoever that is.
The guy was supposed to fight me, but he decided against it. He actually wasn't supposed to. I'm sure he's a heck of a young man. He would have been pretty though.
Yeah,
I am actually very friendly now. I want to be friends with all the media.
I don't, but you're a better person than I am.
Well, this is true, but I say opposing fan bases, opposing analysts. Let's just all break bread and figure it out on the field.
Yeah, well, that might as well be the case because the reporters are never going to actually play. You know,
we could set up a flag football game.
Yeah, that'd be fun, especially with some of the Alabama guys. See, like I said, I'm not trying to be friendly. I'm with some, but yeah. But I mean, it's funny to me that especially in the media that I grew up in, where you were absolutely expected to be impartial, even if you weren't, to pretend to be. Now, look, I work for a fan site, so I don't even have to pretend now.
Right.
But like when I was with the Statesman, I wasn't going to root for Texas, even though I wanted Texas to win because that made the company sell more papers, which gave me more job security and so on and so forth.
But then doesn't it kind of depend on where you work outlet-wise? Like if you're a print guy, you're supposed to be more impartial. If you're a local sports radio guy.
That's all gone. I mean, media isn't that way anymore. I mean, you can tell.
Yeah.
And it goes, look, politics, da-da-da-da-da, all the way down the line. And then, I mean, you see newspapers, not necessarily in Austin, even in Dallas, they'll take shots at A&M to sell clicks, to get clicks, things like that. So, the whole click and all that stuff, clickbait and all that stuff changed journalism to what I don't even recognize it anymore.
If it said Sanders here in the number 20, would you know who we're talking about?
Well, if it said Sanders there in the number 20,
and it's blue and silver.
If it looked like a Detroit Lions, I would. Okay, I don't even need to say Sanders if it said 20. Yeah, you can say, okay, maybe it was Lem Barney or Billy Sims. No, 20 at Detroit Lions. That's Barry Sanders.
Right. If by the way, this is TexAgs Live. It is, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Just making sure.
And it's brought to us by David Gardner's Jewelers.
That is correct. I forgot about that for a moment, but I'm glad I was reminded. I do remember that we're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
The Rollo Insurance Studio.
This hour, there's 1 hour in the day that we give a name to.
The Go Hour.
Yeah. Presented by
CC Creations.
That's
the
correct.
warehouse over there, CC.
And if you want to call the phone number, 979-693.
1150.
That is the Buppy's Catering and Bartending hotline.
Yeah. Puppies.
If you want to text that same number, we can put a sponsor on there as well. 979-693-1150. And let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Behind the glass is a very good host. Thank you for coming in yesterday, Nick Savage.
Yeah, of course. Me and Bronny like to say every time we're in the host chair, it's a run out the clock scenario, just trying to get to 11. But it's always fun to pretend to be David Nuño for a day.
Did you hit the gym?
No.
Lost it.
I didn't eat stale chicken and white rice for dinner.
Why'd you say stale?
Because you don't.
Stale?
No seasoning.
Who said I don't put seasoning?
I don't know.
I put salt.
Did you hit the gym?
Of course.
Gym who? I know you're going to hit somebody.
No, I told you, I don't fight people anymore. I have read the comments. All I want to do is fight Bronny and people. No, I don't. I want to give everybody a hug.
Okay.
And depending on your movement on there, I might take you to the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jim, look out.
Nick, what's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, so just dropped the Senior Bowl release its top 300 players for the 2025 season. 9 Aggies land on that list. Willie III, Scooby Williams, Torian York, Cassius Howell, Albert Regis, Demetrius Crownover, Trezun III, Armaje Reed-Adams, and Le'Veon Moss all make that list. It's brand new, so I don't know where they fall in terms of SEC teams, but I'm looking at Texas right here. They only have 6, it looks like. Tennessee with 3. Auburn has 6 as well. South Carolina with 2. So I feel like the Aggies got a lot of seniors that could end up at the Senior Bowl and a lot of impact players.
Let me see it. Let's hope that list grows, by the way.
That's a good list. It's good to have that many. Of course, a lot of times you have a lot of teams, a lot of times you don't have as many seniors because the guys that could have been left for the NFL, which was the case at A&M. Couldn't Shamar Stewart still be here?
22 class, yeah.
Yeah, he could have come back.
Yeah. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese Nygren. How many days now?
How many days for what?
Social Center. I feel like you're here every day.
This is my second day this week.
Okay.
I'll be back on Friday.
I'll try to take off. What's going on with you today?
Not a whole lot. How are y'all?
Thank you. I'm doing well.
I'm trying to navigate ticket pull this morning.
Oh, okay.
So something new.
That's new this year, right?
It's
online. Yeah.
So is it like
not in line? Now you're online.
I know that somebody explained it on the show once, but I was daydreaming. What do you have to do? I know it's online.
So I'm pulling with a group. So my roommate is back at my apartment and he has to gather all of our emails and then it will send us out an email with a group name and password.
Okay.
And then you have to go in and enter the password, username, how many tickets you want, and go from there.
Sounds like sounds easier.
It's not complex.
Yeah, and there were some kind of shady things going on before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you had fights last year.
Yeah, you had fights. Groups coming in. Groups coming in at the last minute, cutting in front of everybody who camped out for a handful of days.
You can't eat a list if it's online, right?
No.
You don't know what that is refers to.
No.
Guess what? I don't either.
The list eater. Do you not know the legend of the list eater?
That sounds like something I would skip online. Actually.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to find out about that.
Is it?
I think it was for the Texas game or something, and you're in line to get the tickets for that, and they had a list of somehow where you are in the line to get the tickets, and a young woman grabbed the list because people were cutting in line, and they said, "No, give us that list back," and she put it in her mouth and ate it.
When was this?
Oh gosh, when was this? I couldn't tell you the actual year.
I feel like I'm less of an Aggie for not knowing this story.
It was amazing.
A legendary story, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Huh? I did not know that.
The legend of the list. I don't remember her name.
Huh? Nygren, anything else?
Speaking of lists, the SEC coaches voted on their all-SEC teams yesterday, and 6 Aggies found themselves named to one of the 3 teams. The lone first-team nominee is running back Le'Veon Moss. On the second team, offensive linemen are Majay Reed-Adams, Trey Zune, and Chase Basantis, as well as cornerback Will Lee. And on the third team, linebacker Torian York.
Excellent stuff, Reese. Thank you very much, buddy. When we come back, 25 and 25, down to the top 3.
All right. I'm ready.
I am too. Do you know who the number 3 is?
I do.
Okay.
Because it's starting to get a lot easier to figure it out.
Yeah. It's getting cold in here, too.
Process of elimination.
I might need a blanket to cover up. Anyway,
yeah.
Let's talk about 1775.
Let's do.
All right. I don't know how I want to get into this one today, so I'm just going to pick a food item, and then you expand on it, okay? All right. I'm going to pick it out. Turkey.
Oh, turkey. That turkey, first of all, it's moist.
Yeah.
It's amazing. If you're one of those people that want to watch your weight, you can do so by having that smoked turkey and not sacrifice this explosion of flavor. A lot of times, when you're watching, you compromise it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not as good. That's not the case at 1775. That turkey's amazing.
All right, hold on. One more. Throw it on your plate. Brisket.
Oh, brisket. I've talked to you
1775 brisket.
It's so succulent. And that's why I don't know if that helps you lose your weight or not, because there are the carnivore diet helps you. So, but if you want on that carnivore diet and you want to just enjoy the rapture that is the taste of succulent brisket, 1775.
I'm just going to give you the website. You can figure it out for yourself. 1775txbbq.com, or you can call them up. 979-492-6241. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out.
It's glorious.
Hey everyone, David Nuño and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically we start off the show in this section, and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and they keep it. They'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned. But they also do something else.
Yeah, well, if you are, like, say, a sports fan, and you've always wanted to...
Everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dream of being an owner, well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. And we're back on TexAgs Live, 25 and 25, presented by La Casa Tequila.
La Casa Tequila, sí.
Oh, you didn't say it as well as you normally do.
Well,
Let's try again.
La Casa Tequila, sí.
Raised in Aggie land and
rooted in the SEC.
Hey, don't they? Well, I think they say whiskey, but you could do tequila to help your voice out, right? That's the thing.
I haven't, but yeah.
We've got tequila upstairs.
Somebody bring me some.
I could say that I'm part of the community.
Somebody bring me some. I need a shot to get my voice back to normal, right?
No, I kind of like this version of you. I was listening to the presser yesterday, and it's interesting when you haven't spoken in a while and your first words is a little groggy, and then you become very white, which I appreciate.
Okay. Or usually I'm just very white.
He said it, not me.
Hey, my friend Cedric Golden, you know Cedric.
Yeah, of course.
He once, who's an African-American gentleman, he once said that I'm the whitest white man he knows. I took it as a great compliment. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Well, let's move on from that topic.
Conservative.
I don't know. They don't cancel people anymore, do they?
Hell no.
Hell no. Can we talk Will Lee for a moment?
Yes,
Number
we can.
3, one of the most critical guys to A&M's success last season, and certainly going to be critical to their success this season, OB.
Will Lee, let's make a blanket statement. Yes, he will. And let's make a blanket statement and say he's one of the best, if not best, cornerbacks in the SEC. I mean, he's all SEC last year. I remember, of course, his pick 6 against Texas, but I also remember him creating a pick 6 for Bryce Anderson against Florida. You know, he's got his hand in there to break up a pass. The ball went in the air, deflected, and Bryce picked up the ricochet and took for a touchdown. I think, if my memory serves, he had something like, there he is.
There's the play against Texas, yep.
And I think he had, 10 passes broken up last year? I know he created a fumble, forced a fumble against South Carolina, and just played a really strong cornerback all year. Unfortunately, they didn't have somebody else as good on the other side. And quite frankly, it's going to be difficult to find somebody else as good because that's an NFL player right there.
To me, the Missouri game is the game that I think about most just because of the...
He got away with one in the Missouri game.
Well, but the chatter leading up to the game.
Yes.
Right?
With the whole blanket thing.
The whole blanket thing. And honestly, 2 excellent wide receivers. He was mostly on Theo Weiss, but and Luther Burden was there. But his ability to make him not a factor in that game, especially with the I think, not the best decision by Eli Drinkwitz to have that whole thing staged, which I don't know if it was Eli.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Somebody within the
organization.
Yeah. They drew attention to the blanket and how good he was, and then he went out and was. Now, was there a play that was first called a pass interference penalty and then waved off? Yes, there was. Could it have gone either way? Yes, it could have. If you were a Missouri fan and saw that, do you feel like you got hosed? Of course you do. And maybe you were. But the fact of the matter is, beyond that, Will Lee just took, at least for his part in it, took guys like Luther Burden and Theo Weiss and made them irrelevant.
Yeah. Now, going back to something we said in the first segment, if Des Ricks and Julio Humphreys end up being...
Could be Tariq
Chappelle. If somebody else raises their level, how much better does that make Will Lee then?
Well, I don't know if it makes him better, but I think it might make his stats better because you just said,
you may have to throw to him.
I don't want to throw at him.
Right.
I don't want to throw at Will Lee. I don't want to throw over there because the blanket's over there.
Yeah.
But if there's at least a comforter over here, then, then I may be forced to.
Let's think of some other ones we can have on the.
Well, the comforter.
The comforter.
Yeah. I said that. You could need
the blanket.
You feel as an A&M fan, you feel comfortable with Will Lee over there, but you were uncomfortable over here.
Yep.
So if someone else raises their game to where you have to face the blanket, then that person becomes a comforter.
Yeah. You don't like
or
the
at least
sock?
a quilt.
We can't try the sock.
Well, a sock.
It's covering the foot. It's all over it. Allows no moisture into your brand new shoe. That's a big deal.
Yeah, but I'm worried about the receiver's hands.
Okay. The glove. Oh, we already had that. We already had Gary Payton.
So I just think that
the poncho could be good.
The poncho. I just think that I like the idea of another team throwing in Will Lee's direction because He may return it for a touchdown, like he did against Texas. He may break it up and someone else return it for a touchdown. Or he'll just knock it down. And in the rare event that's actually completed on him, he's a good tackler too. So, yes, I encourage opposing quarterbacks to throw at the blanket.
And I'm going to add one more wrinkle.
Okay.
Because it goes back to a soundbite. See, everything is kind of choreographed on the show. If you haven't thought about
that's why we do things.
Yeah, actually, I just thought of it right now.
Yeah.
The show prep that we do together, amazing. The 5 hours we spent together before the show. No, when Coach Bateman was speaking, I believe, glowingly about the different options on defensive line, right? If that D-line isn't a problem this year, and he also says that last year they had to kind of handcuff them a little bit because of the problems on the back end. He feels much more comfortable with the back end. Now the defensive line, if they take a step forward in getting to the quarterback. Now, how much better overall is that secondary with Will Lee blanketing?
If the pass rush is consistently getting to the quarterback, unlike last year, then yes, the secondary will be better because that's the best friend that a secondary has. And if you see more interceptions and things like that because you have a quarterback under duress and things like that. But I don't know if I'm giving you the answer you're looking for.
You give me whatever answer you want, brother.
I just know that from what and I know we're just talking about Will Lee right now, and he's again, look, he's all SEC. I would think he's an All-American candidate. He's obviously one of your best players. We got him number 3. If all your, let's put it this way, if your transfer portal guys, be it Des Ricks, be it Julio Humphrey, or anybody else, if they perform at least near the level that Willie has performed, then a lot of problems have been solved.
Yep. And again, somebody we mentioned earlier in the show, Tyreek Chappelle. How much of a factor does that have in the entire secondary? Let's hit a break. We'll come back. OB, when we do Milliken Reserve here, I want to go back to a bit from 2021 where you make animal noises, okay? Yeah, that's why. That's the why behind it, all right? So at Milliken Reserve, you won't find a giraffe.
No, unfortunately.
You
Unless I find enough money to move in there, and then they said, yes, we'll let you. You buy a 10-acre tract, you can have a giraffe.
No zebras.
None.
No. But you will find white-tailed deer.
Mm-hmm.
You might. I don't know if you find hogs there. You might.
See, I can't even do.
Songbirds. Rabbits.
Does a rabbit make a noise?
Yeah.
Oh. You heard it.
Yeah. Turtles.
Snap.
Yeah, I think I'm going to move on from this. Milliken Reserve provides a natural setting for people to connect. It is a wonderful place to go hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, summer camps, music festivals, farmer markets, and farm tours. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com.
We're getting a day's worth with pay.
Use that voice and say what show this is.
This is the Go Hour on TexAgs Live. Welcome back.
So already there's a thread on me not knowing List Eater. Sorry, I didn't live on TexAgs in 2004.
I got this right here.
Well, but let me just for a moment. People are asking, how can you work at TexAgs and not know? You're right. I was a little embarrassed by not knowing the story. Sorry, I was in 2004. I was covering an NBA team at the time, and that was where my life was. I'm sorry, List Eater, I wasn't on TexAgs. I am wrong. I even apologized to Richard before the segment, like I should have known.
I remember it was a robust young lady, and here it is.
Just a great round personality.
The term list eater at Texas A&M refers to a specific incident in Aggie history where two students, I thought it was just one, but okay, disrupted the ticket pull process by eating the list used to track student names in line. Some people were cutting in line, and they said, well, you can't cut in line because we have the list of who's supposed to be next.
Right.
And this list eater grabbed that list and ate it. So they couldn't keep them from cutting in line.
Now that I've heard the story twice in the last 10 minutes, I feel like I remember that story, but I don't know if it was.
I'm sure you could go on YouTube and find a video.
I already found it. I haven't watched it yet, but I just Googled it.
And then you're going
break.
to say, "Oh, I'll never forget it." If I didn't remember it, you'll never forget it.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet, but the legend of Texas A&M's List Eater explained. List Eater inside Texas A&M's chaotic ticket pool. List Eater. Like there's lots of videos about it apparently. So all right, hey, did you know that we won the national championship in 1939? I just learned that.
Yes, I knew that.
I didn't even know that Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy in 2012.
I knew that. Yeah, I can make a list of things they've done. You can eat it.
Thank you very much.
Maybe that's the next 1775 spot.
They also have lists for
make
you
a
to
list
eat.
of things that you can eat.
OB, I read an article earlier and I found this very interesting.
Okay.
Will a team ranked outside of the top 5 right now potentially win the national championship?
Oh, absolutely.
And it says each of the past 5 national champions were ranked in the preseason top 5. So that means, take away the 5, okay? There's Nick's got the AP poll out. Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, Miami. I'm just going for the next 5. Could you see one of those teams winning the national championship?
Absolutely. If Alabama won the national championship, would you be stunned?
No, I would not be stunned.
Okay.
I have them winning the SEC.
Yeah, and people are talking about LSU. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but I guess it's not out of the realm of
It wouldn't shock you if LSU won the national championship.
I wonder where LSU was ranked to start the year in 2019. Sounds like something for Reese to do.
Yeah,
I don't know if they were ranked in the top 5. Yet not only did they win it, they barnstormed their way.
Oregon hasn't won a national championship
ever.
But would it shock you?
No.
I don't know enough about them this year to know, but
they were ranked 6th. See? They're ranked 6th, and then they won it in a blaze of glory, in a blaze of Joe Burrow.
Bon Jovi. Young Guns, too. I just watched it. That's why.
Bon Jovi, Let's Go Out in a Blaze of Glory?
No, there's a song called Blaze of Glory.
Oh,
in fact,
really?
we're going to hear it on the other side.
I did not know that one. I'm not familiar with that song.
It's a jam. It's about Billy the Kid. It's so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, the answer to your question is there's a couple of teams right there. I said if they won the national championship, Texas A&M. I think.
Well, put up that list again if you don't mind. The top
I
25.
believe that the race for the national championship this year is wide open.
Okay, so if A&M won the national championship, would that shock you?
Shock?
It would shock me.
Yeah, it probably. Well,
it would shock me.
I would be surprised.
I would be shocked. Like, what? We actually won?
I think. Well, yeah, that's the.
We did?
That'd be like me, winning the lottery.
You know what's going to happen? It's like one day when we both retire, that's when they win the national championship.
You know what? I saw that. I saw some. I think this is accurate. Some Heisman Trophy odds on Marcel Reese, like 5,000
to 1.
I mean, I got an extra $10.
Why not?
Why not?
So from that list, Texas Tech, would that shock you? With all the money they spent to win it, and their defensive line supposed to be great, they're 23rd on that. I'm not predicting. Honestly, I don't think anybody outside of. I don't know.
All right.
I think my list might stop at 9.
What if it was Florida?
I don't see it happening.
I don't either, but
Well, what if?
I was talking about yesterday. If you look at Florida and their strengths and weaknesses, or I don't even call them weaknesses, their strengths and their question marks. and compare them to A&M. They're the same team.
Yeah.
So what if Florida? You keep hearing Florida being trumpeted how good they're going to be. What if they're 15? So I think there's a lot of teams in there.
But here's my interpretation, if that works there, with Florida and also LSU. Florida, Lagway's health is going to be an issue for me. It's until it's not. Okay. Nuss, he doesn't have a history of injuries, but the whole knee situation, the tendonitis in the knee, to me is at least something to look at.
Okay, put those other teams back up there. So you have questions about those two quarterbacks?
Sure.
Okay.
Health-wise.
Does Texas have a question at quarterback?
They have a different question at quarterback.
Right, but there's a question. How good is he really?
Yeah.
I think he may be spectacular. But again, he wasn't good against Georgia when he started against ULM. He was average at best, played really good against Mississippi State, but who didn't? He was good in packages. He's probably going to be good, but he still has got to prove it.
In the top 5.
Julian's saying.
We don't know. He's a kid.
Just saying. Georgia, number 5.
Gunner.
He wasn't good last year. He may be spectacular this year, but the point is,
he didn't
just
play
questions.
enough last year.
Right. Neither did Manning.
Right.
Or Saying.
In the top 5, and I know his favorite quarterback, Drew Aller. Who I don't have necessarily questions about Drew Aller.
I do.
I know who he is. Okay. He's okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
Like the question would be, will he take a step? But
Klubnik,
I think there's got to be some questions, but I think he's the most proven of the group.
So the point is, they
all got questions.
They all do. So, I look at Texas, and they may be the national champion. I'm not trying to disparage them just because this is TexAgs.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying about Texas is the 4 significant losses in the offensive line, 3 significant losses in the interior defensive line, a first-round draft choice at receiver, a tight end that was a huge part of your offense, a couple of guys in the secondary, and you kept telling me how good they were last year.
Yep.
Are the next guys just as good? Maybe in some cases, but I'm betting the left tackle's not as good as Kelvin Banks.
How often is the national media wrong on really good teams? They've been wrong about A&M a couple times. Wasn't just TexAgs. But when they say a team is supposed to be really good, how often are they wrong?
Well, not often. But really good and national champion may be two different things.
Yeah.
So.
One guy that we're going to have on the show later on today, Jake Crain, he believes A&M will go 9-3. He also believes that Texas will go 9-3.
And they might. Again, I've said this before. I think 3 and 4 years ago, you could have said, Georgia, look at that talent. That's the team that's going to win the national championship. And you would have been right. I think 2 years ago, you would have said Michigan and Georgia, are ahead of everybody, and Michigan won it. Last year, they were saying Georgia and Ohio State. Okay, Ohio State won it. You could pick up 2 or 3 teams and say they are head and shoulders above everybody else, and you would have been right. This year, I don't know that you can really look at it and say without a doubt, Texas may be the best team. Ohio State may be the best team. Heck, Notre Dame may be the best team.
Down there.
But I can look at every one of those teams and I can point out areas that say they have significant questions there.
Which is why I think schedule plays a major role on how we evaluate the top teams. OB, what are your thoughts on? Why'd I get louder there? You noticed I went announcer man on you?
Yeah, because you're going to emphasize something.
Yeah. OB, what are your thoughts on summertime hoodies?
If they're like duck camp, I don't have a problem with
this was not rehearsed. This is pretty incredible.
Because
how did you know I was going to talk about duck camp?
No, I didn't. But what I'm saying is I've worn a duck camp hoodie in the summertime, and it's somehow it's long sleeve, and yet
feels short sleeve.
It's cool.
It's cool.
I don't mean cool in a
holistic planning cool zone kind of way.
No, I'm talking about in the air, it breathes.
Breathable fabric.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Would you believe that I am currently wearing a duck camp hoodie?
I wouldn't believe that because I don't see any kind of logo.
Yeah, they sometimes hide it. You know, they want to go like James Bond undercover.
All right,
like he just kind of blend in.
So that I've never seen a duck camp hoodie look like that.
Look, I have always been one of these. Like I'm not wearing a hoodie even if they say if it's breathable in the summer because I don't want to sweat. I don't want the pit stains. I don't want to look like that. Right.
Wearing
it, I feel very good. Yeah. Very good. Okay. There's no little darker blues on my belly. No. Right. Like this is what you can get with duck camp.
Yeah, you can get a summer hoodie.
Summer hoodie.
And it works.
Scout shorts.
Cools you off.
Essential hoodies. Lightweight fishing shirts. Lightweight performance hoodie. Bam. Check it out. Duckcamp.com.
Built for the outdoors. Designed for everything else.
Do you ever wear those
Duck Camp
shorts?
Boxers?
What were the shorts? What did you call them?
I called them the Scout shorts.
Scout shorts? You ever wear Scout shorts?
Yeah, of course.
I wore shorts back when I was a scout.
Yeah, believe it or not, I was never a scout in my life.
I was.
Do they have like an adult like scout thing that I could go to, like a boot camp where they talk about list eater and how to like make fires?
I'm sure you can find some scouts that have you.
Okay, Let's just we'll be.
You can be a scout master.
I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
Oh yeah, I remember
What a
that
freaking
song.
jam, bro!
I remember that one.
The song's fantastic. No, it's great. Give it his props.
Yeah, it's good. I remember it. I was.
Do you believe Billy the Kid died for reals? I mean, he's dead, but like, do you think Pat Garrett actually killed him?
Yeah, sure.
You don't know the legend, do you?
I think he's still alive.
No, he'd be like the 180.
Yeah, boy, he lived to be like 100 years old.
There's a guy that claimed to be him from Hico, Texas, who had some battle scars that reminded. Sorry, I
thought it was always pronounced Hico.
That's what I meant.
You learned something.
See, there's List Eater and Hico. I'm learning new things every day.
What if the List Eater was from Hico?
Or Hico. Is it Hico or Hico? It's probably Hico. Whatever you said. It's whatever you said. I don't know. You're more from that community.
What community is that?
The cowboy community.
Huh?
The cowboy community.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to become a cowboy. You know what I just started watching?
What?
Deadwood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think I saw a little bit of it when it first came out. 2004-ish, by the way.
Ian McShane?
Huh?
Ian McShane?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And the other dude. That guy was good. The main guy.
Yeah, the other guy, too.
Hold on. Tyler. Something like that. Timothy Oliphant. Yeah. He was pretty good. He's gotten old. That happens. He's gotten old.
Yeah. It does happen.
All right, let's close out with some football thoughts.
Let's do.
All right, I think this happened after the show yesterday, so you weren't able to talk about it. But C.J. Carr gets the gig over Kenny Minchey.
It's funny. I have a friend who's a reporter who went to Notre Dame, so he's really into it. And we had talked a few days even before, and he said, "Well, I keep hearing Minchey is going to be the guy because all of his." Ability to run and make plays off schedule, but okay, C.J. Carr. Personally, I prefer a quarterback that's going to stay in the pocket to play against. You know me, my time a quarterback is a guy that's going to move around, is going to make you worry about scrambling and all those things. So, okay, C.J. Carr.
Well, maybe.
See you in a few weeks, about 4 weeks, C.J.
Maybe. What if he struggles against Miami?
It's Miami. Who's going to struggle against Miami?
We struggled on the road at Miami, where they're going Hard Rock Cafe.
I don't think the quarterback did.
No, Connor had a good game. Connor had a really good game.
Yeah.
He did throw the pick at the end of the game because he had to. He had to make a play.
And one time because Anais fell down.
Yeah.
It might have been his best game.
Yeah, it was a good game. I don't know. That Ole Miss, his debut to me was fun.
So much of that was late.
Yeah. All right, we're going to close it right here. When we come back, thank you, OB. We're going to have John Harris on the program. That and more. It's TexAgs Live. Time for a little football takeover. Footballtakeover.com is the website to get all your football info, besides TexAgs.com as well. You should go there and check out John Harris's great work. He's also the Houston Texans sideline reporter, and he joins us now on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. John Harris, good morning, kind sir.
Good morning, David. How are you? I'm actually walking out of my car, getting ready to go to Detroit City today. Hopefully going to get a little 8-mile action this week. So looking forward to that. We got joint practice with the Lions on Thursday, game on Saturday, and then the preseason is over, which is weird to say because it feels like this one's gone really, really fast.
All right, well, let's just talk about the Texans right now, how you're feeling about things offensively, moving in the right direction. Give me your thoughts on the Texans.
Yeah, I think the offense has made a lot of strides, which I wasn't sure. You know, when you're putting in something new, you just never know how it's going to go. You reset the offensive line with, Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, Shaq Mason all being removed from the team in whatever way, release, trade, however you want to look at it. And so you just didn't know how that was going to go, obviously. But I feel like for a team that wasn't, or an offensive line that was not going to be as talented because you're losing Laramie Tunsil, it actually has been a better group. And I think the way that they've played together has been telling. The better coaching they're getting, the better coordinating they've been getting. And they've taken it slow. They've taken it piece by piece. But to see what they were able to do, and look, the Panthers aren't a great football team. And it was unfortunate what happened to Nick, while he was here. It was weird because we saw him in practice. And at the end of practice, they're like, hey, man, where's 11? And didn't know where he was, and then found out, obviously, what had happened to him, and hopefully he's going to be okay because they need him. That defense is in rough shape without Nick. I think he's going to play as a rookie and going to have to contribute as a rookie early. That said, the Texans dominated them in the game, and that was really good to see. So we know how good this defense is and can be. I mean, it's going to be a rock star unit. If the offense can just be solid. They don't have to be top 10. Just be, top half of the league. They're going to be in contention to win AFC. It's just a matter of, can the offense be good when the defense has that off day? And that's something that, hasn't been the case for them. When the defense has been, so-so, they end up losing those games. The Jets last year, the Titans last year. Those are games that they ended up losing because the offense just didn't show up when it needed to. So I think this offense is showing signs of being a lot more diverse, a lot better coached, and I think in the end, going to be a lot more productive because of those things and the offensive line being a much better unit that gels together.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, do you see similarities with Dan Campbell and D'Amico? Are there things about them that you see kind of that are maybe the former player, coach kind of vibes that they both give off?
Totally. They're not the same guy, don't get me wrong. But they have a lot of similarities. And I think the biggest thing is the way they care for players. They understand what it's all about. They get it. They know what these players are going through. And I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage. But behind all the, we're going to bite kneecaps off or, D'Amico looking like the nicest guy in the world, they have a soft spot for players. And they love their players. And I think that's kind of lost a lot of times with head coaches. They're like, nope. Assistant coaches, you guys handle all this. I got to be separate from the guys. And Dan Campbell and D'Amico don't think that way. That's not the way they go about their business. They go about their business as, I love these guys. I love what they're giving me. I love the effort they give me on a daily basis. These are guys I want with me in every situation. I mean, D'Amico said the other day, he's like, I don't want to see any of these guys cut. And he honestly believes that. That's not rhetoric. That is something that he honestly believes. He loves guys that give it up for the team. And I think that was one of the reasons why it wasn't as if Laramie didn't play hard or just didn't go 100% all the time. It just, the mentality just didn't fit with what D'Amico was looking for. These guys that he has on this team, they're made in his image, basically. And I think Detroit follows the same thing with Dan Campbell. Those guys are made in his image. But the way those two gentlemen love their players, I think, is very, very similar to one another. And I think they are way more similar than different. And yes, Dan gets a little bit more of the, he's a little bit more out there with his, his thought process, and he's going for it on fourth down, those kind of things. And D'Amico, they coach a little differently, kind of game styles. But the way that they treat their players and the way that they are with their players, I think is very, very similar. I mean, if I'm a player in this league, I'm thinking I want to play for one of those two guys. Maybe play for both of them, 1 year or a few years with one and then a few years with the other. I mean, I would want to play for these two guys because they absolutely, no doubt, get it more than any two coaches at their experience level. I mean, they've only been in the league a few years, honestly. And the more years they spend, the better they are as coaches and leaders of men. And I would want to play for one of these guys or coach with one of these guys.
Johnny, earlier in the show, we were talking about the last 5 national champions have all come from the top 5 in the preseason, top 25. But this year, you look at just maybe the top 9, 10 teams in the country, and I know you can go deeper than that. You can make a case that maybe one of the top 5 teams in the country doesn't win the national championship. Just kind of debate with yourself, if you will, that thought. Like, are you sold on the top 5 right now as being for sure national championship contenders, or maybe some other teams that could kind of sneak up on there?
Well, I think what we have to recalibrate, David, is the fact that a winner of a national championship now, you've got to win an extra game. And that just throws a whole new wrinkle into things, if I'm being honest. With the 12-team playoff, and God, if the Big Ten gets their way, there'll be 98 teams in a playoff. You're going to have to win that many more games. And I think what ends up happening in that situation is it's a one-off situation. So it's kind of like the NCAA tournament. You might be the 1 seed, but you get stuck in there in a pretty tough bracket. You might lose to an 8 seed. But you've got to go through, 4 good teams to get to the Final Four. And I think that makes it more probable that a 1 seed gets knocked off. I think in college football with 12, it narrows it down a little bit. But, look, last year, the 4 teams that got byes, which you typically would think are going to be the 4 best teams in the country, those 4 teams all lost. All lost at home or all lost in a bowl game. Before they got to the semifinal round. So I think the playoff and trying to figure out how that changes things for top teams. I think the other thing, and we talked about this a lot, I think with NIL and the transfer portal, how does that play a role as well? Can you have a super team now with NIL transfer portal that maybe we don't know about at the beginning of the year because we just don't know about, oh man, they had 4 or 5 transfers. We just didn't realize how good that team was going to be. So I think it was easier back in the day. You knew what teams had coming back. You knew what was returning. You knew what was leaving. And I think it was a little bit easier to kind of project what those teams were going to be, if I'm being honest. But, look, what's Texas Tech this year? They've got so many different transfers, and everybody thinks that, Texas Tech is probably going to win the Big 12 because they've got all these transfers. But in all honesty, Texas Tech's never been anywhere near a playoff. So, how does that kind of play a role? How do they deal with expectations? So I think it's harder and harder to kind of project. Yeah, I think the winner is coming from these 5 teams. And especially this year, I don't know that I look at the top 5 teams. Like I saw a list the other day that had Clemson at number 1. I think it may have been Fox's top 25. And I'm looking at it going, dude, if you're putting your dollars on Cade Klubnik to be the quarterback that leads in the national championship, man, you haven't watched him in big games the last few years. And I know they're going on a bunch of stats and, he's returning and he's got some good weapons and all that. And Cade got a lot better as the year wore on. But in big games last year, Cade wasn't all that. So he's like, man, then that's one of the returning quarterbacks to a top 5 team. And Clemson's hella talented. But I just don't know that I put my eggs in that basket. So I just think there's a lot that goes into it. But I think it's going to take a little while to kind of see, all right, have we honed in on the right 5 teams? I think in some cases it's going to be true. Like Penn State. Who does Penn State play this year? Penn State plays nobody, and they're very talented. Oh, like Ohio State. But I don't know that I believe in Drew Allar. That's, I'm just not a big fan of his. So, Penn State, have I ever bought into Penn State? No, but, they're a top 5 team going into the season. So I think this year's team probably comes, I don't want to say out of nowhere to win it, but I do think a team in the top 10, top 15 could absolutely make a push to go win a national championship. A little like Notre Dame last year. Notre Dame was probably a top 10, top 12 team, I think, at the beginning of the year. But there were so many questions about what they had in the offensive line. And then when you realize, these young guys in the offensive line are pretty good, Notre Dame could be pretty good. But I don't think people realize that up front. So they ended up playing for a national championship. So I think there could be a team in the top 10, top 15. Now, I don't think the team is outside the top 15. I think the team to win a national championship is going to be in the top 15, but I'm not totally convinced it's going to be within the top 5 for sure.
All right, I'm going to reverse that question because something you said there, like, when have I bought? I forget how you phrased it, but something to the effect of when have I bought on certain teams, like Penn State, for instance, right? They've been underwhelming from their preseason expectations. So I'm going to say that same line with A&M. A&M has underwhelmed. Why buy A&M as being a team that could compete for a playoff spot?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for people that aren't Aggies to buy into A&M. I really think it's going to be hard because it's, how college football narratives are. Until somebody truly breaks down a narrative, there's just not going to be. I mean, how many analysts over this offseason have you heard say, well, it's A&M? And I was watching the Netflix series the other day, and one of the analysts, who I didn't even know who he was, he's like, I call them Texas 8-4. And I'm like, really, dude? Who are you? You look like you should be a librarian somewhere in Mississippi. So I was like, whatever. But I think with each year, and this is something that I always say, I always evaluate each year for that year. And where that helped me a lot was 2010 with Auburn. I've never been a big fan of Auburn, but I looked at what they had coming back, and I was like, I've heard this Cam Newton dude is actually a pretty good athlete. This could be a team to watch. And when I did my predictions for that year, I had them going undefeated all the way to the last game against Alabama. And I remember doing radio in Houston. They were like, what? Auburn? Really? And then they kept winning games, and Newton was this, and it was like, whoa. So you have to look at each year separately. But I do think there have been, and this happens in media, this happens a lot. You put your neck, you put it out online, you lay your neck out there, and you say A&M this year, and then all of a sudden A&M goes 7-5 or 8-4, and you look like a fool. And so you're like, well, I'm not doing that again. And so a lot of people, I think, fall into that trap. But I think why you would do it is because A&M is going to have a tremendous offensive line. They've got an experienced quarterback that I think will make plays in big situations for that team. I think the transfers they brought in, including Casey Concepcion, are going to be very, very good to help that receiver core. I think Mike Elko, in his second year as head coach, is going to help that team kind of find its level a little bit. And one of the other things I realized in watching that Netflix documentary is I think that Mike will have a little bit more A&M/college focused team than maybe he had last year, with some guys that had their eyes on the NFL and probably weren't playing up to the level of their talent and ability. And I think they'll have a little bit more focused group this year. Elko knows what he's looking for a little bit more in second year, and I think that's going to end up boding well for them. And in all honesty, David, I think the schedule helps them. I know we talked about that 3-game stretch in the middle of the season that's pretty tough, but I think outside of that, I think it ends up being a pretty fair schedule for the most part throughout. I think that 3-game schedule, the 3-game road trip in the middle, I think it can be tough. But if they come out of there 1-2 or even 2-1, I think they're going to be sitting right where they want to be by the time they got to play Texas at the end of the year.
Johnny, I think one of the things we've seen in media is that people will twist what it was said into a narrative, and then it gets on social media and it becomes bigger than it needs to be. And the one I'm about to bring up, it's not even a big deal, but I don't know if you saw Hugh Freeze's comments on potentially playing 3 quarterbacks against Baylor. And people are taking it, at least the way I'm reading it on social media, is like they're going to have these different packages for the 3 quarterbacks. And if you look at what he was asked and how he answered, the question was, could we see all 3 quarterbacks play against Baylor? He just said yes. That was it.
So that can mean multiple things. That can mean he believes they're going to blow out Baylor. That could mean that Baylor could blow them out. Or it could be just like gamesmanship with a coach. We could play all three. It did. At least I didn't take it as it's going to be, yeah, we're going to show them these different quarterbacks because we're still trying to figure out who's our guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it also can be, oh, Jackson Arnold isn't the guy they thought he was, and all that kind of stuff. So, look, it's still sort of talking season until we can kick it off. And I know there'll be a few games this week in week 0, but until we kick it off, we're kind of stuck with listening to that kind of stuff. People, oh, this is what he really meant. Nobody knows what he meant. Well, Hugh Freeze is the only one that knew what he meant. And look, when you're early in a season, hey, could we see all 3 quarterbacks? Yeah, you could. You may not, but you could. So the narratives get spun so many different ways. And I think because football, both college and NFL, it's what anybody and everybody wants to talk about. So how do you fill 3 hours on radio? How do you come up with an article concept, an idea? Well, you take that and you run with it, and that thing's getting clicks and hits all over the place because you're talking about the quarterbacks and the quarterback situation at a university like Auburn, and Hugh Freeze, who is a tremendous football coach, but has had some controversy throughout his career, all that kind of stuff. So you throw all that into kind of a media booyah base, and it's just catnip. I mean, it's exactly what media members want. They want that. They want to hear that because that makes it easy for them. If you just stepped up and said, no, Jackson Arnold is the guy, and all of a sudden, okay, that's what you get to report. Like, where's your article? Where's your 3 hours of talking time? He just said Jackson Arnold is that guy. Now, that can even go sideways too, in a sense, because the radio host can say, okay, well, Jackson Arnold is going to end up being the number 1. Well, what's he missing out with the other 2? These are the things he's missing. So narratives get spun all over the place because all we have nowadays, what we have nowadays in comparison to what we had in the past. You had maybe a radio talk show, maybe a blog here or there that was good. Rivals was good. TexAgs has been tremendous. But other than that, that's what you had. Now you've got everybody talking. You got former players with podcasts. You got coaches with podcasts. You got players on the team with podcasts. You've got radio shows all over the country. You've got ESPN trying to fill every hour of the day that's not McAfee with something having to do with football. So you've got to have some things to talk about. And so when Hugh Freeze gives them that catnip, basically, it's going to get eaten up. That's the part I kind of hate in a sense, especially when it's talking about a team that I know and that I know pretty well, because I've seen every practice. I've seen every minute. And I would imagine that Hugh Freeze probably saw some of the vitriol coming out of there or some of the discussion coming out of there. It was like, what are they talking about? I didn't say that. So that's where it gets tough for a head coach, especially in the media. And over the years, I've learned to understand why head coaches are kind of ornery with the media in a sense. I kind of get it now because, well, that's not what I said, guys. Yeah, but it's what you meant. No, I didn't even mean that. So there's that sort of situation. So I can kind of understand it to a degree, the fact that coaches get upset with that. But you know me, David, the narratives that get started just based off one thing that really may or may not be true can drive coaches out of the business. I think it's probably driven some of the good coaches out of the business, probably on a media where they can say the things they've always wanted to say, a la Nick Saban.
Johnny, wasn't that long ago that teams and programs could control the narrative, right? There was a time, if you went into the Texans locker room or an A&M locker room, like you would get Bill O'Brien blanket answers, right, from the team because they were told to do that. And that has changed, literally, my voice cracked. That has changed since 2021, basically, or 2020. I think COVID is really where we saw the change, where players were given, they accepted the role of having a voice and they went after it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Got to play better, got to coach better, ain't gonna fly anymore. And then when you get pushed on it, are you going to get frustrated? Then you end up becoming the story because 4 AFC championships, Brian. You have moments like that where you are, blasting back when you've reached your limit of dealing with everything. But when you tell people, hey, we got to play better, got to coach better, that isn't going to fly nowadays. It ain't going to fly with Gen Alpha. Hey, you need to play better. What do you mean, coach? How do you mean I have to play better? I did this, and this. And young kids aren't going to sit there and take criticism without knowing why or doing something without knowing why. And it's the same in the media. The media isn't allowing coaches, players for the most part, to just give a blanket answer anymore and just be good with it. They're just not like, hey, what do you mean by that, coach? Here are further questions. And then when coaches get frustrated with that, then they're going to end up getting blasted by the media because it's like, well, answer my question. And the other thing too, I think, is that fans want to know too. And I think media members look at it as providing the answers to the fans as much as it is getting the answers for themselves. And I think the fans want to know. I mean, hell, that's why there are message boards. That's why there are so many things out there for fans to try and gather information, especially at this time of year when the fans haven't had a chance to see the team. Auburn fans haven't had a chance to see the team. So they're just going on the one thing that Hugh Freeze said. And of course, when you have such an ardent fan base like Auburn, like A&M, like Alabama, et cetera, those things are going to come up. Those narratives are going to pop up. Now, many of them die after week 1 or week 2 and they go away. But some of them end up lingering. And if coaches don't nip them in the bud or know how to handle the media well, then they're going to linger. It's going to be frustrating for the team. It's going to be frustrating for the coaches. And then you have kind of that back and forth with the media and the coaches that you don't really want to have. So I don't know. I think it can be entertaining at times to kind of listen to what they have to say. I think the coaches that are good with the media know how to say something without really saying something. And when I think about that, I think about the two men we started this conversation with, as Dan Campbell and D'Amico Ryans. I can listen to D'Amico press conference. He can say everything without saying really anything. And it's like, oh, okay. And doesn't have to deal with those narratives. I think Dan Campbell does a great job of being honest and forthright with the Detroit media, and I think he's treated fairly as a result. The ones that clam up and don't say anything, those are usually the ones that end up having issues with the media, and that bleeds over with the fans, et cetera. So, but it's all exciting, and it's all about the end because we get actual football being played this Saturday, next Saturday, and all the Saturdays after that, David.
Johnny, enjoy your trip in Detroit, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, brother. Love you, man. See you soon.
Later, brother. That's my guy, John Harris, here on TexAgs Live. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. Open segment, followed by Bob Sturm of The Ticket. We'll talk to him here in a moment. You got to bottle those moments, guys. Talking about the moments with your kids. Got to bottle moments with your aging parents. Got to bottle the moments about your land, your family business. And that's what Chance McClain and his team at Heritage Films does. They do these documentaries about all those subject lines I just gave you, right? Keeping those moments, those Facebook memories that you love to have pop up on your timeline. Well, how about having a 2-hour documentary that kind of details where you were at that moment in your life, all right? Or how about telling your dad's story, something that he may not be able to pass on to the next generation or generation after that because you didn't take the time to get a Heritage Film movie done. 2-hour documentary that Chance McClain and his team does, and he's really been taken off with his new product, the Farm and Ranch Films. If you got a farm, you got a ranch, let him tell that story, a 2-hour documentary story, so the next generation understands the fabric of your land, what your land means to your family. It's a beautiful thing that Chance does. You can call him up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com. That's yourheritagefilm.com.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50, but right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. All right, we're going to hit our break, not right now, in a moment, because I want to be on time for Bob Sturm. He's a great guest. We'll get to him here in a moment. Are you familiar with Bob Sturm?
I am not.
He's from the Ticket in Dallas, and his daughter interned at TexAgs. Great insight when it comes to football. You'll like that interview, I think. I think you'll really like it, Reese. What do you have for us?
So tonight, the Texas A&M women's soccer team continues its season-opening 4-game homestand. They host the Texas State Bobcats tonight at 7:30 at Ellis Field. The Maroon and White claimed a 1-0 victory over Lamar on Sunday, improving to 1-0 with a tie on the season. The Aggies own a 4-0 edge in the all-time series against Texas State, outscoring them 21-2.
21-2.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's make it more like 28-2 when this is all said and done.
Another note, Marcel.
You didn't want to have a response. You were just like, let's go on.
Yeah.
Thanks for agreeing with me.
I'm sorry. Marcel Reed adds another preseason award nomination after being named to the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award watch list. The nomination comes after Reed was nominated to both the Manning Award and Maxwell Award preseason watch list. In his first season as a starter, he was a 2-time SEC Freshman of the Week and was named the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Week and Sean Alexander Freshman of the Week after coming off the bench to spark a second-half comeback against LSU.
There's a article on CBS that maybe I'll get to. I just saw it this morning. Came out, or I guess it came out yesterday, about some SEC topics, and Marcel came up in there, A&M came up in there. That I might want to tackle some of the talking points that Brandon Marcello had. Like one of the things we'll talk about it is, is this going to be a really down year for SEC quarterbacks overall? And I wonder what that means for some of the middle tier quarterbacks and Marcel taking a step forward. Hopefully, it's not a down year for Marcel, at least. I don't care if it's down year for everybody else. In fact, I'm all in for it.
Yeah, when you look at the SEC as a whole, I think we've been talking about it all offseason. Everybody has Nussmeier, Sellers, Lagway. People throw Arch up there, obviously, as like the undisputed top 4 for most people. But then there's that whole group of people that include Marcel Reed, Austin Simmons, and people also are high on John Mateer. So
people are really high on John Mateer.
Jake Crain is really high on John Mateer. Had him as his SEC Player of the Year and had Oklahoma going 10-2.
If Oklahoma with that schedule goes 10-2, I would assume means that they beat Texas, which would be fine.
Yeah, that's who he has.
Yeah, because I know I think he has Texas at 9-3. So.
He does have Texas at 9-3, along with the Aggies and LSU.
But I don't think he has the Aggies beating Texas. I believe he has Florida, Georgia, and Oklahoma.
He has Alabama at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Oklahoma at number 3, LSU at 4, and Texas at 5.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's hit a break. We'll come back. We'll talk to Bob Sturm on the other side. If your organization or your business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students that bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking about these really fun events like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, the gathering that welcomed tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of these attendees. And they offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. And this includes title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. And there's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for the last 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. And we're back. It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Bob Sturm of The Ticket joining us at the hard line. Good friend of the program. What's up, Bob?
What's going on, David? How are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks so much for joining us. So this topic came up on the show, and I'm just curious, outside of the obvious, how does a program change their narrative? Obviously, A&M's narrative is this 8-4 program. You got to win to change that. But it's interesting. I feel like there's two worlds or two types of thinking with A&M. This is their year. There's this group, and then there's they're going to blow it at the end, which we saw, unfortunately, last year. Outside of the obvious, what do you think A&M has to do to kind of change that narrative?
I mean, that's a great question, and it serves for all sorts of conversation. But I think the short answer is just do the work and let your work speak much louder than your fan base could on a sports talk situation or a message board or a bar room or wherever you are. Like, let your identity be your identity. Don't tell us about it. And this is the catch-22 of college football, right? Because so much of college football is fueled on the conversation or the debates. Heck, the recruiting rankings have set A&M on some side roads over the years that have not necessarily been helpful, because now it's, well, we've seen you win recruiting day before, but that doesn't translate for you guys. So A&M's now at a spot where they could literally have the best class of all time and people would still roll their eyes. So the short answer, if this could still be defined as short, would be just go do the work. Just go win games. Just put out on the field what you put out last year in September and October. And then, of course, finish the job. And they took some massive steps forward, but I think Mike Elko is all about that. I don't think he's the talking marketing type as much as he is the let's go do the work type. So I think they're on the right path, but I think we've also talked enough times that, I'm a cup half full guy for the most part, looking at the direction of this program. And therefore I've been duped before, I suppose.
I think we all have, Bob. So where are you with this team this year? Based on some of the things you've read about, the changes defensively, the maturation of Marcel Reed, where are you on them?
You know what? I'm pretty excited about what this team can be, because now there's some qualifications here, because it appears to not be a window that goes on indefinitely. But this year you do have the experience, a very veteran offensive line, a very full running back room, and a quarterback who, along with a coordinator that seemed to be able to say, okay, we're going to maul you, and we're going to control the ball, and we're going to keep the game on our terms. And so a lot of it will come back to, did Elko get the defense squared away? And I think he's earned the trust on that front. And therefore, now it's going to come back to, can anybody in this conference stand up to the meat grinder of their schedule? Because it's the same conversation everywhere. Like, if you talk about, any team this side of, let's say, Alabama, Texas, and Georgia. So if we are at least going to concede that there appears to be a tier 1, and then everyone on tier 2, which clearly includes the Aggies in my mind, is saying, yeah, but the schedule, and South Carolina, yeah, but the schedule, Ole Miss, yeah, I just keep going down the list. Everybody but Missouri is looking at their schedule like, whoa, what the heck what are we dealing with here? And that's just the new reality of this conference and the way things are set up. But I love the personality of this program. I love the direction. I love the talent level. I think they hit the portal really well. I love what they have at wide receiver because of that. So I can see it. And I think a lot will come down to what we see, in South Bend. But overall, I'm very eager to get to these games because I think this is a pretty good team.
Talking to Bob Sturm here on TexAgs Live. All right, Bob, what about that tier 1? All right, I think many people have questions about Texas because of who they lost, and is Arch going to be what they say? Georgia. I mean, is Gunnar Stockton, are they going to finally figure out the offense? And Alabama, right? Like, I mean, you don't lose some of the games that they lost last year without some questions. So
that's right.
How confident are you on that tier one?
Actually, far less than usual. I would just say with those, there is a proof of concept, if you will, right? There's a benefit of the doubt that those three programs probably have earned that they do seem to be more stable in terms of the conveyor belt of talent, which you know they have populated the NFL at a level, and Texas just got there. By the way, we all know Texas in the draft went through a barren wasteland for quite a while. But man, what they put in the 2025 NFL draft, I guess you can look at it from two standpoints. One, how do they replace all that? But two, how does one program put that many dudes into the league and then still look like they have a loaded roster 4 months later as they head to Columbus? Now, it's just on a magazine page at this point. We need to see it on the field, but they look like they have proven that they've leveled up at a very high level of talent. Georgia has, you know, their own concerns because their offense has fallen off over the last couple years, and they need to replace that and prove that they can consistently, you know, get up in the high 20s in key games and not be stuck in the teens. And, you know, Alabama's Alabama, so we need to see post Saban that they can achieve that level where we do say, whoa, that's Alabama. We just have to accept that. So you're right. Tier one, to me, it is separated, but it is closer to the pack than it has been before. And so there's a number of ways to look at this. And that's the cool thing about feeling like if a couple things break correctly, A&M can be in the playoff conversation all the way to the end. And so, you know, it's right there, I guess is what I'm saying. And I'm very pleased about that. My question would be coming back like in 26, how do you replace everything you're about to lose in 25, like offensive line wise and on the defense? So that, you know, now they're going to have to prove the conveyor belt can deliver under Elko as well.
Bob, I think Texas might take a step back, but I think they're going to go into Ohio State and take care of business, and it might be convincing just because I have more questions about Ohio State. Imagine the narrative at that point if Texas does go and beat Ohio State on the road where they're underdogs, and even though I do think there will be at some point in an SEC grind that they're going to take a couple of hits.
Yeah, no, they have a real chance, man. And you just talk about what's on Arch's shoulders and frankly what's on Ohio State as well. But from a Sark standpoint, losing twice to Georgia last year and potentially losing to Ohio State in back-to-back games as you carry over season to season, you know, you can then say, well, Texas has taken enough steps up that everybody would love this problem that you can't get past Georgia and Ohio State, but that is literally the peak of the mountain, right? When we talk about the teams that decide college football, the final step would be holding your own and going 500 in games against other top 3 programs or top 5 programs, and so that's a good problem to have, but at some point Sark needs to start knocking those biggest of games down, and that will be their next step. But yes, the hype machine is incredible. I looked at Red River tickets yesterday just to see what the price points are, and the cheapest seat was $630. So I guess both teams are undefeated, and maybe that price drops if Oklahoma takes a couple L's before then, or Texas does. But as of right now, the hype train is steaming down the tracks.
Talking to Bob Sturm. Bob, let me close out with a Cowboys question. What's your vibe on the Cowboys? And I guess the second part of that, what's the latest with Micah Parsons?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. My vibe on the Cowboys is they have successfully lowered the bar to a point where you actually can be optimistic that they're going to be better than people think. I love the George Pickens trade, for instance. I do like their offseason to a certain extent. Clearly, they're still not shopping very hard to add talent, and you know they're still financially always padding their wallet. So there's frustration there, but I do think they lowered the bar so badly in 2024 that people are probably like the 7.5 win total. To me, that feels like stealing money. Not that I would ever endorse gambling, but I would just say the over under on 7.5 wins. Look, I don't think the Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl, but they're definitely going to be banging the over on that. And so from my standpoint, I think they are better than people think. But then here comes Jerry out of down the aisle with a steel chair to make sure that he self-sabotages yet again. And the Micah stuff is so unnecessary. The fact that, and I did something about this on the show, I think I even wrote about this, is that if you just look at the Eagles, and nobody wants to look at the Eagles down here because they all hate the Eagles, but the fact is that is a blueprint on how to run an organization with Howie Roseman, with Jeffrey Lurie, with the way they do things. And here's the thing they do every single time, David. They do all of their contracts in March and April, all of them. All of the big money contracts are done in the offseason. The Cowboys do all of their big money contracts in training camp, like literally on the practice field. They're doing their business, and that is such a violation of getting ready for a season and building your team and building unity and just understanding what this is all about. I don't understand why they do it. I realize they're very busy with monster truck shows and World Cups and yachting the Mediterranean in March and April when the Eagles are doing business. But I think there's a reason you do business in the spring and play football in the fall. That is so you don't get them mixed up and you don't make your entire team mad at you. But Jerry is Jerry. The documentary proves that. And, they're a little frustrating because I think the only thing that's stopping the Cowboys most years is, in fact, the Cowboys. So the self-sabotage continues, my friend.
Bob, I appreciate your time, man. We'll talk here soon.
Anytime.
Thank you, man.
Fun being with you.
Thank you so much. Bob Sturm there from The Ticket. He's awesome. I've been listening to him for years. And we're both old, so that just shows you how much better his career has been than mine. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with an open segment. Right now, Daily Company, a family license-owned company that wants to make sure that you are aware of their HVAC services. They can take care of your electrical needs, your plumbing needs, and, of course, they have generator services. And all of this is available to you 24/7 here in the Bryan-College Station area. HVAC-wise, they'll take care of your thermostat, your refrigerant, your furnace failures, your seasonal tune-ups. Plumbing, they'll take care of all your leaks, and they'll repair those, clogged drains, water heater installation, maintenance to keep those pipes in top shape. On the electrical side, you've got the wiring, the outlet repairs, and the upgrades for safety and efficiency. And they'll take care of your generators as well. They'll repair them. They'll make sure that they're installed properly to make sure if there is a power outage, it takes care of you. Remember, they serve all of Bryan-College Station. They take care of Houston and Austin with upfront pricing and no surprises. You can contact the Daily Company at 979-260-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. All right, friends, David Nuño here. While I don't drink a lot of vodka or tequila, my wife does, and that's okay. I can talk all about it here because it's time for Frio Vodka and Rio Agave Tequila, and they're ready to raise their game with the right team, and it starts with Texas brands at Total Wine and More. And before we cheer our Texas Aggies on to victory, we need to stock up on tailgating with the right partners when it comes to adult beverages. And that's why we love Frio Vodka and Rio Agave Tequila. And they're proud to be in their second year as sponsors of TexAgs. And now through Labor Day, this is really important. All profits will be doubled and donated to the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. It's Texans helping Texas. That's right, the local brand and diehard Aggie fans are continuing support for our state. We're talking about Frio Vodka, not some orange and black labeled brand. Frio is 6 times distilled, handmade, crisp, clean vodka. This is the only vodka that should be poured in Aggie land. And Rio Agave Tequila is ideal for Aggies, whether it's the award-winning additive-free Blanco Tequila or the tasty ranch waters using 100% blue agave. You can taste the passion and dedication in every sip. These premium products are about supporting Aggieland and the Texas A&M community. All right, friends, this season, keep it in the family and pour with a purpose. Pour Frio Vodka and Rio Agave Tequila. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Houston Aggies join us for a special screening of Breaking Tradition, and that's featuring fellow Houstonian Aggie Hugh McElroy, class of 71, at the Star Cinema Grill in City Center on August 27th at 6 o'clock. It is set during the Civil Rights era. The powerful documentary follows McElroy's courageous journey through a transformative period at Texas A&M in the 60s. Tickets are $25, available now in the Football Forum, presented by the Houston A&M Club in partnership with Texas Filmworks and TexAgs, and support from Rifle CRE and the Goodwin Group at Merrill. Don't miss this unforgettable evening celebrating Aggie history and courage. Reese Nygren, Angry Elephant News and Social Center. What do you have?
So ESPN just dropped an article of the top 100 players in college football, and 3 Aggies made the list, the highest being linebacker Torian York coming in at number 58. After that, number 66, offensive lineman Armaje Reed Adams. And the lowest on the top 100 at number 95 is running back Le'Veon Moss.
Do they give reasons why people are at certain places or their criteria for figuring out this 100?
They just give like generic player breakdowns and stuff.
I'm assuming that Le'Veon is at 95, not based on production, based on his injury.
If you give me a second, I can scroll up and find.
Because if you think about it, like, he was the best offensive player on a team that had a chance to go to the playoffs, or at least to the SEC championship game up until the last season, and he didn't even play the last few weeks.
Yeah, the first sentence of his thing says, Moss says he is 100% recovered from a knee injury that sidelined him for the final 4 games of the 2024 season. So I think the injury played a big role in why he was so low. They also mentioned Reuben Owens, so maybe they're expecting him not to get as many touches as a normal top 100 running back would get.
Yep.
So that would be my reasoning why I think they would put him that low. Number 1, Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
I think that's fair.
We got to drop it right there. When we come back, Ryan Brauninger, TexAgs Live. And we're back. Was I just looking at my computer aimlessly?
It was very quiet introduction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just thinking about how I wanted to enter this conversation with Ryan Brauninger on Recruiting Country. Brought to you by American Momentum Bank, the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan College Station.
Stop whispering. You're making it weird.
You make things weird by pointing out weirdness.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'm the bad guy here. It's like you're whispering sweet nothings into the listener's ear.
No, you are the good guy because you weigh into it. The B team, and you make me the bad guy.
The B team bad guy. That might be a shirt we need to wear. I'm working on some stuff, and with this stuff, maybe there may be some apparel coming, so I can get you. I have to ask if we can get you an extra medium.
Have you weighed your meat? That would be a cool shirt. Protein. No, protein. That'd be a cool shirt.
Nick, have you weighed your meat today?
No, like chicken, pork. Why do we got to make everything a joke? I did this morning, 5 ounces of chicken. I took it upstairs. You're doing what I do, where you can't get out of character of laughing. So just put the camera on him.
You weighed your meat this morning?
I did. My chicken.
Yeah,
anyway.
How much did it weigh?
Hey, what? It was 5 ounces. Actually, if you want it, you can go up there and you can weigh it and see if I'm lying to you. 5 ounces of chicken.
I'm not putting my hands on your meat.
Okay, let's just move on. You are hinting at something. What are you hinting at? Tell me more.
Well, we're up to something here. What is that? Okay. Isn't that what Pat McAfee says? Up to something season.
Does this mean anything to you?
Reese?
Driving.
Reese might need to take a timeout. That was looking for it. That looked like you were driving.
Okay, that totally looks like driving. I have a comment about something at MMA. I'll tell you at the break.
Yeah, drive.
Drive.
So that looked like a steering wheel, Reese. It looked like a steering wheel.
What am I doing?
Pointing at your watch. It's time for something. We are.
What's the second letter in the alphabet?
I don't know what I can say. How much I can give away because Richard's back there, Principal Zane, and I don't know how much I can say about this.
You know, honestly, he's not the principal, and I mean this with a lot of respect. He's the assistant principal, because the assistant principal is the one who would send you to the office. It wasn't the principal. The principal had big things to do. It was the assistant.
Is Lucci the principal? He's out of office. So
he's the superintendent. He comes around and you got to be on your best behavior.
Okay. Fair enough. We are starting a show soon.
Oh, now you just came out and said it. I was trying to keep it dramatic. Drive time.
Yes, we're looking at doing something in the evenings for folks when they get off of work. And where it won't be A&M, super A&M centric.
It's going to be A&M.
Yeah, we're going to talk A&M. But the plan is to have just something for you to interact with, top of mind sports discussion. A lot of that, top of mind for the audience here is going to be centered around Texas A&M. But we also want to be able to get into whatever is going on in the world of sports. And we don't want it to be TexAgs Live. That's your thing. We don't want it to be Luchador. We want it to be something different. And so that's what we are workshopping this week. It'll look different than TexAgs Live. It'll be in the studio, but it'll be in a different area, and it'll look very different. I think Richard's going to help me out as a co-host. We're working on a producer right now, and I think the goal is to have, some live guests, nothing on Zoom, everything's going to be live. So have some people come in and sit in, and it'll be...
So it's if I'm working on something upstairs, I can just pop in and say hi?
Come in. And it's going to be really laid back. That's the goal, is just having fun for about an hour and a half while everybody's making their commutes home from work. It will likely be just accessible via YouTube and the site.
Okay.
But I think it's our first ever. So
foray.
It's into and it's something in the afternoon that where we've just not ever done anything, right? The closest thing that we've ever done to something like this was those watch-alongs that we did for a year, which were going live on YouTube in the evenings before games, or really whenever the game was, whatever kickoff time was. But we've never gone into or had a live show on YouTube in the evening. And so this will be something I think will be really cool. And we still don't have all the parameters on it just yet, exactly what it looks like, but it's very much trending that direction and for a start next week.
Adrian Mueller Can we just go ahead and make the bro hour permanent? Are we the bro hour?
Is that what it's called?
Is that what people call us?
I don't know. I'm the B. How are you the RO?
I don't know. I guess because I do bro stuff.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what your mind always. I feel like your mind's always on bro stuff. Being a bro. Except the only time I've ever seen you not be a bro is when your kids are here.
Oh, I'm dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as the kids aren't here, you're bro.
I think I'm both. No.
Yeah, you're more bro. Like when the kids aren't here, you're.
No, I mean, my kids definitely go through the Goggins lifestyle. Like, who's going to carry the boats? They know that. Anyway, should we get into recruiting?
Let's do it.
So, by the way, I thought we should have kept that going for a while. That would have been good. But you just
it's impossible with the way Reese was behaving over there.
I mean,
very distracting.
Commitment retention. So you sent me some notes of things we can talk about this morning. When talking about commitment retention, are we, and I think we can explore it multiple ways, but are we talking keeping this group or Coach Elko's ability to keep a group?
We are talking, well, first of all, how many times have we heard him say, whether it was at TexAgs preseason kickoff or on the various national media hits that he's done, he talks about roster retention and how they didn't lose many guys that they wanted to keep. Obviously, everybody will think about Noah Thomas, and that was a big one. But outside of Noah, did they lose anybody that was just that they felt like they really had to have? They wanted to keep Noah, and they lost him. Outside of that, it's a lot of those guys returned, and not only the roster return, but you're looking at roster retention in terms of the NFL, and with Trey Zune and Armaje Reed-Adams, and Will Lee, guys that chose to come back on this roster that could have had overtures from the NFL, or definitely did have overtures from the NFL. So they've done a good job on the roster with retention, but then you look at recruiting retention, that's going to be just as important because you have a very old team this year. So obviously next season that's going to change, and you have to start backfilling those positions. They've done an outstanding job, as we've mentioned so many times, gathering a collection of talent that's going to put them in the discussion for a top 5 class. They had some misses here late in the summer that could have pushed them over the top and cemented them as maybe a top 3 class. They didn't get them. That's recruiting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But now, in order for them to get to that top 5, into that top 5, they've got to retain what they've got. And the reason why that's important is because you're seeing some of these commitments come out publicly and say they're going to take trips elsewhere. You saw it with KJ Edwards. What happened in the chat that got you? What happened?
You saw that?
Yes, yeah. You can't. You're just like Olin. Yeah. You guys, when you see something across that screen that's toxic, that you can't hold it in. And I don't think you were like that until you started doing the go hour with him every day.
Yeah, you're right.
And he'll sit there and look at his computer, or you'll say something that's so innocent, and it triggers that East Texas toxicity.
Yep.
And it has to come out. And he can't control it.
That's true.
And you're getting the same way.
Well, Lance and Round Rock sent a text that I will not read on air. Okay?
Well, that's no fun.
It's not fun. Now, if Reese wants to get fired and get FCC violation, he can do that.
Okay.
I am not reading it.
Okay.
All right. Can we continue on this trek and not talk about 5 ounces of chicken? Okay. Can we
weigh in your meat?
Can we just continue on that where you were?
You've derailed me thanks to your.
I did not. You derailed yourself. I just did this. This is what I did. What? I want the camera to see me. I went like this.
And that's not what you did. You went. Very sophomore.
We could actually rewind it. We're not going to because I want to get. This is a football show. This is a football show.
10 days till football season.
It is football. Sorry.
Now you've made me derail my train of thought.
Could have been a top 3 class.
Yeah. So KJ Edwards and Caden Johnson have come out and publicly said they're going to take visits. You've also got Chance Collins being pulled, I believe, by Miami to get on a visit. Tamarian Watkins is still being pursued by Miami and South Carolina. Like, you're going to have to hold on. Caleb Tafua out in California. There's some work to do to hold on to what you got. And it's not – I do think because of the way the rev share is going and the NIL model now, I tend to believe there's going to be less flip-flopping late, but there's going to be some. And you're going to have to weather that and endure that and have a plan for that. And so that's why I think this retention stuff is so important. And right now, well, there's nothing going on until next week when your first visitor list arrives on campus for a game day. What we've been doing, or at least what I've been doing, Jason has been barnstorming through the Southeast. I don't know how many miles he drove between Georgia and South Carolina, but it felt like he was.
I thought he moved to South Carolina.
It was crazy, and he ate 1,000 cheeseburgers. But between what I've been doing is kind of trying to put myself in the position of a Derek Miller and saying, all right, while we don't have a ton going on right now, how do we come up with a plan to best strengthen our positions with the kids that are looking around? And that's probably just consistent messaging. I don't know that you have to go over the top and promise them X, Y, Z. It's just we're not at that point yet. But I do think you need to come up with a plan that will strengthen your position with the kids that are looking around while also forming a contingency or insurance plan if something were to go awry. And while you have a necessity to do that is because you have experience in that arena. There is precedent. And you look at what happened with Hassan Longstreet in last year's class where you were scrambling late to get a quarterback. And I think that's obviously not an ideal scenario, but it's also a situation that you can learn from and go, okay, like that was the biggest position where we got burnt late. We need to make sure that doesn't happen at that position or any other position, and while we've got some time on our hands, let's go through, and they're doing it nationally. But what I did yesterday was let's just go through the state of Texas again. And inevitably, every season there's going to be senior season movers, guys going in the right directions their final year of high school football. Saw it last year with a guy like Nelson McGuire, who was completely off the radar until they started playing games. So what I wanted to do is kind of go through their offer list in state, understanding that the positions of need are still offensive line, defensive tackle. I think that's more of a pressing need than just saying defensive line. I think interior defensive line bodies are more important than edge players, and then wide receiver. And so when you start looking and combing through the state at those positions, and I think this is kind of getting into the next topic that I sent you, was examining like what could happen. What do these contingency plans and insurance policies look like?
Right.
And the way I broke it down in my article yesterday that was on the site was there was a group I called circle back players.
Yep.
So circle back players are kids that had A&M offers or currently have A&M offers, but throughout their recruitment, after they got their offer, they never got this big time push. But A&M is familiar with them. They've offered them. They've been on the phone with them. They've got some sort of relationship there. And some of the positions in that list, for instance, I put a quarterback on there, Keyshawn Henderson.
Houston legacy player.
Yes, and he's committed to the University of Houston. That's their most high-profile commit maybe ever. I mean, he's a five-star.
Just Ed Oliver.
Yeah, he's a outstanding prospect and just a sensational athlete. And it would be something where if A&M, or Helam and Kasuga, I don't anticipate Helam and Kasuga at all waffling with A&M. But again, it's just an insurance policy. You have to protect yourself in these situations. So I've got everything listed in that circle back list from quarterback to cornerback and some DB spots because they're in they've got a great defensive back haul right now. But what happens if, Victor Singleton is getting attention from Ohio State right there, in his home state? What happens if he starts wanting to go visit Columbus? Like, you just have to do these things, and you have to keep those pots warm in case you've got to go to them. And then there was a list of players on there that I looked at and I said, okay, they don't have A&M offers. We haven't really heard much from them in terms of A&M circles, but I've either seen them live or watched extensive tape or talked to people that have seen them live that went, hey, this kid's got a chance.
He's got a real chance, yeah.
And the one that I'm going to make note of, that I want to make note of, there's two actually on that list. One is Jason Bradford, a cornerback out of Temple. If he's running better, he is a real player. Mm-hmm. Like he checks every physical and measurable box that you could want. He's actually, I also wonder if he's open to like doing some safety stuff because he's gotten so big and long. But it's like a Marcus Ratcliffe, Miles Davis type body. Like it's big, good looking kid. And he's played primarily corner. I saw him this summer at 707. He was playing safety. That intrigued me a lot. I was like, okay, well, let's look at him maybe as a safety or Antonio Johnson in the box style defensive back that Mike Elko has used. Then the other one that I wanted to point out, because it's such a position of need, and there's not a lot of them in the state of Texas, defensive tackle. It's Daryl Campbell at Katy Pato. I had two people in Katy reach out to me and said, hey, have you seen this kid lately? And I said, no, the last time I saw him was 2 summers ago at A&M's camp. And they're like, man, he's really turned into an intriguing. He's committed to Vanderbilt. He's turned into a really intriguing body style and play style in that position. And obviously a kid at Katy Pato, DJ Hicks is here. His dad is the head coach at Katy Pato. Dejon Petaway's here. Damian Sanford's here. Those are all Katy Pato kids. You'd think that if A&M's went, hey, like, that's a position of need, and this kid's arrow's pointing way up, that if they decide to enter the race, they're going to have a great shot at getting him. So I did want to make note of Darryl Campbell, just because I've had a couple of people in that area pass me notes saying, keep an eye on this one. Like, he's poised for a big senior season.
I'm going to go back to your circle back and just throw some names out at you that we've talked to. KJ Ford. Like, that's one that they're going to have to.
Yeah, and that was one, too, that was interesting because it just never felt like A&M was all on the gas pedal there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if they decide to go all on the gas pedal, they could get him off of that Florida commitment. I do know Florida really kind of endeared themselves to him and his family because they were on the gas pedal from the get-go. That's a Duncanville kid. And so, A&M hadn't had a ton of success at Duncanville. So we'll see if they go back in there. But I just feel like because he's got so many connections to the current rosters, he just knows a lot of the guys that are playing for A&M right now. I think that they could, if they wanted to, it would be interesting.
And then Legend Bay?
Yeah, because A&M was in a really good spot until the last, 2 weeks there. And he committed to Tennessee, and that just feels like, maybe with the season, maybe A&M, you just never know with the relationships, both in the ground and in Dallas and here in College Station, like how those things can change and alter throughout a football season. I mean, of the circle back list, I'd have some guys probably ahead of both of them.
Okay.
Like Aljor Miles at receiver out of Kaufman is committed to SMU. I think A&M, if they got in a spot where they didn't feel like they could get any movement on Boobie Feaster, maybe Aljor Miles or Jaden Warren. I actually would have Jaden Warren up there too out of Iowa Colonies, committed to U of H. Those two would be ahead of both KJ, not different positions, right? But different, way ahead, I think, of KJ Ford and Legend Bay.
Hate to be Captain Obvious here, but a lot of this also is dependent on what kind of year and the offense looks like for some of these guys, right? Like if A&M has the kind of year we think that they can have, then I think the likelihood of jumping ship and also the likelihood of changing some minds does become a little bit more attractive.
Yeah, again, it's like with everything. We said this about, Jimbo Fisher's last class, like going into it, like they have to win games to keep this thing together. They didn't win games and it kind of fell apart on them. And it's unfortunate that you can look around the SEC right now and you can see some of the decommitments from Texas A&M or guys that kind of fell off the radar. Now they're all conference, potential All-American type of players throughout the league. And that's what you have to avoid. And look, I think Mike Elko's got the program in a great spot. You listen to the national folks talk about A&M and the direction of the program. Everybody's really bullish on them. So, yeah, they've got to back it up with winning games, but it's not like they are fighting a perception battle right now.
All right, we're going to hit a break here. When the unexpected happens, whether it's a car accident or property damage or business liability, preparation matters, and the Rollo Insurance Group is going to ensure that you're properly covered before crisis strikes. Their independent agents provide a consultation across several different platforms and all the insurance types you can imagine, giving you the confidence that details are handled correctly. They've got 60 offices statewide, but they're all over the place, and they're right here in College Station. The true value of insurance becomes clear in those critical moments when you need to file a claim, and the Rollo Group is going to walk you through the entire process and advocate on your behalf when you need the most support. Don't wait until disaster strikes to discover the gaps in your coverage. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olsen wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable,
moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. You got to know when to hold them. Got to know when to fold them.
We should have taken that advice to start
Thank you,
last
Carson
segment.
Stein. Goodness gracious.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Yes, sir.
My name is Ryan Brauninger. I'm sitting next to a man that thinks that he could beat a brown bear or grizzly bear in a fight.
Okay. You are the reason that there's this faction of people at the University of Texas and on TexAgs.com that think I just want to fight fools. Okay?
Hold on. Time out.
I have turned over a leaf.
The phone. Nicholas, get the mic, Nick.
Nick does not want to talk.
You know, how many times does he talk about fighting people?
Yeah, once daily.
Okay, hold on.
You can't
That's
hear
how
me.
you respond.
When's the last time?
I'm not hard to find, bro.
That does not mean I want to fight.
Yeah, that's what you're insinuating, though. You know that.
No, I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
And you talked about fighting me
No.
No.
There's video evidence of this. Sorry, we're going to get to recruiting. The fact is, Billy or you said, what would happen if I put you in a headlock? How am I supposed to respond to that?
No.
Just sit there.
Billy said, what would you do if Bronny put you in a headlock? And you said, I wish he'd try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see how you're combative? It's not something I make up.
No. It would bring us closer together as friends.
Reese, what did we talk about? Hold on. What did you just say? Never mind. What did we talk about in the break?
I just had a smoker's laugh.
We talked about Billy saving that.
No. We do got to get to that. Fire Marshal Bill up there, Bernstein Bear, or Smokey the Bear Billy. We talked about what he asked if I talked to his jiu-jitsu coach.
Oh, yeah.
See?
But that was always off air.
Yeah, but you're always talking about fighting people.
I'm talking. I wish they would, because people are nice. I've said this before. I have not had one person come up to me rude.
Either.
Ever.
Actually, I have that one guy at the gym.
Yeah, he came to me about you too. That was great. I like for 5 minutes I was laughing. I was like, wait, no, but I really like
kind of threw me off. He was very old, and he came up to me and called me an a-hole to my face.
I think he's a very fine young man.
I'm sure you would.
He is actually a huge fan.
He
of
said,
what I do.
he said that I'm an a-hole because of whenever I'm in the gym, I put my headphones in and I actually get to work. And I don't talk to anybody.
I talk to everybody.
He said that he comes in there and he talks to you, he talks to Olin, he talks to Lucci, but I just walk right by him. I've never seen this. I don't know this guy from Adam.
I pay attention to the people. I have situational awareness.
Well, I'm in there to work. You're in there to fraternize. Just because, and you are because you've got that workout partner. And that's what y'all do.
I work out with Billy once a month.
Okay, that's your partner. So
anyway,
I'm getting that much percent.
I want to get back to recruiting because I like recruiting. All right, I'm a big recruiting guy. But this narrative that I want to fight is not true. I've even said I want to be friends with everybody now. Aggie facts jokes guy, who they were talking about doing a celebrity fight. I don't want to fight him anymore. I want to join forces and talk about life.
You are very combative with people in this office and people outside of this office. What you're trying to do to Luke Evangelist on the basketball field.
Oh, well, I do want to. Yeah, I do. I want to destroy him. In fact, I've offered 3-on-2. Cade and I versus you, Zane, and Evangelist.
I mean, you might as well take both of my arms and one of my legs away if you're going to pair me with those two in any sporting endeavor.
Fine. Reese, I think, could play basketball. So you notice I haven't put him in the mix. Can we get back to like what we do? All you do is derail, make me the villain. Hey, David was a fighter. I don't want to fight anybody because I have a face for television, not for radio.
You're beholden to the people that are on the chat probably telling you to get back to subject matter. They're going to change the channel.
No, I think the people on the chat are called P1s. They listen no matter what we talk about. It's the ones who don't listen often that like tuning in.
If you are entertained by this conversation, it's a good segue or a good introduction to kind of what we're trying to do with the show next week.
Okay, you just lost everyone. People are like, I want Bronny to break down football. That's what they want.
No, they don't.
Okay.
They don't care.
Let's talk about some Texas high school football starting.
I'm pumped. Scrimmage just started last week. I'm trying to get out to a scrimmage tomorrow. I think I'm going to, I don't want to give it away, but I'm going to go see a local, very highly recruited local player probably tomorrow in a scrimmage. Jason in our group chat was just trying to get scrimmage schedules together. So we are 1 week away from, we're in the penultimate week of the offseason for Texas high school football and Texas collegiate football. So the real thing starts a week from tomorrow on the high school circuit. And I'm interested. There's some storylines that we're obviously following. Can anybody break through the big boys in Dallas and Houston? And if you're making me pick a team in Houston that I think can break through, keep an eye on Fort Bend Ridgepoint. They lost Austin Carlisle to graduation. He's a quarterback. He's at University of Houston now. He was such a big part of their offense. But I'm telling you what, on both lines of scrimmage, their roster on both lines of scrimmage is as good as anybody in the state of Texas. And they ain't going to take a backseat there. How good can the skill position be? The skill position spots be? How good can they be in the secondary? I think they've got 11 Division I commitments. And then they've got a few more underclass kids with big-time offers. They got a couple of 2028s that are going to be probably top 10 players in the state, top 20 players in the state. So they've got a chance to be, if you're looking at who could break through the kind of the North Shore, Atascocita stranglehold at 6A Division I in Houston, I think it's them. And Dallas, I think it's a little bit more clear cut. Your favorites are your favorites, like they are every year. You'd probably be better served to ask Jason about who the potential sleepers are up there. Look, Prosper's always a club that they can get a couple of rounds deep and then they can't ever break through, kind of like Ridge Point. Maybe Prosper is that group. They've got a great offensive line up there, led by Zayden Krempen, but with Sean Stover and Bryce Gilmore. And they've got some really good players along the offensive line. Maybe they can be the team in Dallas. But the surprising thing was, if you look at last year's state finals, the Hill Country, Central Texas area had a great year.
Right.
Smithson Valley won a state championship. Austin Vandergrift won a state championship. Austin Westlake lost in the finals. It was a really good year for that Region 4 of Texas that doesn't get talked about as much as the big metros in Houston and Dallas. So who is going to emerge out of Central Texas that could potentially be in AT&T Stadium and lift the trophy? And then the small school stuff I'm always so interested in. Like Columbus had a legendarily good team last season, but they lost the Schobel cousins. Can they bounce back with head coach Schobel there? How can they reload? Can you replace the quarterback like Adam Schobel? He was just simply sensational all year. They blew the doors off of everybody. So is that a one-year wonder kind of thing, or can they back it up again? So I'm pumped. I've been a high school football fan for basically my whole life. I can remember growing up in Southeast Texas, and I'd go to the Nederland games, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. We'd go to the Nederland games, and you'd always rush home so you could watch the tailgate party, which was the local news recap of all the high school games. And so been into it for a while, and so I'm always excited about this time of year.
Thank you, Bronny. Appreciate you. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Jake Crain, get his thoughts on the season right around the corner. That and more. It is TexAgs Live.
is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Jake Crane's going to join us here in a couple of moments. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center because he did, I don't know, a day or two ago, put out all his predictions for the SEC. So Reese Nygren is going to kind of let us know where he stands on most teams.
Yeah, he gave his SEC standings, and he had Alabama going 11-1, including 7-1 in the conference with their only loss to Georgia. Had them losing the SEC championship game to Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia, he had at 10-2 with losses at Auburn and versus Florida.
Okay.
He's pretty high on Oklahoma. Had him number 3 at 10-2 with losses to South Carolina and at Alabama. Number 4.
Is that Oklahoma? Is that you said Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah.
That South Carolina game, if it's a night game, I agree.
Yeah, I would have to side with him on that one. Number 4, LSU at 9-3 with losses to Clemson, at Alabama, and at Oklahoma.
Okay.
The Texas Longhorns at 9-3, number 5 in the SEC.
Losses to Florida.
He does not have them.
He
losing
does not.
to Florida.
He has beaten Florida.
He
Okay.
has them losing to Ohio State, Oklahoma, and at Georgia.
Okay.
A&M comes in at number 6, also 9-3, losing at Notre Dame, at LSU, and at Texas. So the 3 main road games. His SEC Player of the Year is Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer.
Okay.
Which, if Oklahoma's 10-2, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Look, I'm pretty high on Mateer myself, just based on some of the clips I've been able to see and the way they talk about him. But how often are these transfer quarterbacks that come up with all this hype living up to the hype?
Yeah, I think one thing that's different about Mateer than the other ones is that his OC
came with him.
Yep. So I think when you talk about transfer quarterbacks going to a new school, it's learning that new system and that new coaching staff. And
all right, let's go to the You were the Angry Elephant. You are the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We are joined by Jake Crain. Jake, what's up, buddy?
What is up, fellas? We have finally made it. You know, call it week 0, call it week 1, call it a hippo with dyslexia. We've made it to college football. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that's what I care about. By the way, you can check out Jake's great work at Crain and Company on the really real Daily Wire. So we were going through some of your predictions, and let's start things off. Why so high on Oklahoma? Is it the Mateer effect?
Well, I think that's one piece of the puzzle. You know, when you're looking at a recipe to try and project, to me, it needs the right ingredients. You look last year, the anomalous injuries, not only at wide receiver, but what happened to him on the offensive line. Like, the odds of that happening again are about the same as the odds of you staying perfectly healthy for 2 straight years. And if you know anything about Bill Biedenbaum, and he's a guy that's so well respected in the coaching community for what he's done with his offensive lines, I don't expect the product to be that bad again as it was last year. And look, Jackson Arnold was a problem there as well, but bringing in Mateer and Arbuckle, like the Arbuckle piece of this is big for 2 reasons. One, obviously, Mateer doesn't have to learn a new language. That's typically the hardest part for quarterbacks, is learning a new language when you go to a new place. It's everybody else that's going to have to adjust, which is actually easier on an offense. And then it's truly going to be Arbuckle's system. So Brent can concentrate on the defense. But it's not just bringing in Arbuckle Arbuckle and Mateer through the transfer portal. I like what they brought in, a couple pieces on the defensive side to go with R. Mason Thomas and that front 7. I know they lost a couple guys at linebacker, but they got some young guys and some guys they brought in that I think are really talented. So I look at Oklahoma. I know it's a brutal schedule, but I think they have a legitimate shot to go 10-2. So I like all the pieces. And plus, and y'all know this, the embarrassment factor is the biggest fuel for 18 to 22-year-old men, and really men in general. And Oklahoma last year had to watch Texas come into the conference the same year they did, go all the way to the SEC championship game when they fell flat on their face. So I think there's some embarrassment fuel that's going on there as well. I think they're going to roll Michigan up and smoke them week 2. I like what Oklahoma has.
I want to get to A&M in a minute because I know you're high on them, but I think you talking just brought back a thought. Auburn, where are you on Auburn this year? And also, I think we see this the same way. I don't believe Hugh Freeze said he was going to use 3 quarterbacks in the way people are presenting it. I think he's saying that you could see 3 quarterbacks, and that can mean multiple things. It doesn't mean he's making packages for 3 quarterbacks. Am I hearing him correctly?
Yeah, and this is just, and on our show, not that we have all the answers, but since we've all been in it, playing and coaching, or playing or coaching, Like, you've got to understand, like, most of the time coaches are not going to tell you exactly what they're going to do. It's like when you hear Trump talk about foreign policy and he's like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. Like, why would I tell you? If I'm the coach, I would have told him 9 quarterbacks we're going to play. We used to, when we'd send the depth chart over to teams we're playing, put a quarterback as the starter, as the personal protector on punt. We put the backup on there so they'd have to see it and then prepare for fakes all week, when in reality, he was never going to go in there and do it. So it's the art of war, man. It's Sun Tzu. They're not going to go in there and rotate 3 quarterbacks, but why would I go in there and say, hey, this is exactly who I'm going to play, so you know exactly who to prepare for, so you know exactly how to defend us. It's just stupid.
Talking to Jake Crain. So, Jake, where are you on Auburn this year?
Man, I think they're 8-4. I think they're 8-4. Look, it's the best roster they've had, in my opinion, since 2017. You know, Jackson Arnold doesn't have to be Batman. He just got to be a really good Robin, and I think he can in this system. If he's able to read the RPO, they're going to be a problem on offense because the offensive line, not only the starting 5, but they have depth as well. Then on the defensive side, I think at all 3 levels, that they're talented enough. So, look, at that stretch at Oklahoma, I've got them losing. Then at A&M, I have them losing. But I think they beat Georgia. I really believe they beat Georgia coming off that bye week at home, and go 8-4, which Auburn fans would take right now.
Jake, A&M, you have them at 9-3, and
yep.
I think Aggies would be very happy with 9-3. Where's their boom potential for 10-2, or what we've gotten used to, unfortunately, 8-4?
Well, I mean, look, to me, it's at Notre Dame. Like, if you win that one, and they can win it, like A&M can go to Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame because I think they're physical enough up front. And if you look at Notre Dame, they've got a green kid at quarterback. And I'm not saying that because it's the color of a 4-leaf clover. It's because he's never done this before. And some people, Nuño, I really think from a national perspective, I think they forget that last year was year 1 under Mike Elko. And he had to throw a guy that wasn't ready in there at quarterback who absolutely balled out. Marcel Reed balled out. He almost took him all the way back against Auburn when they started down 21-0. Now, everybody's talking about Arch Manning and DJ Lagway and Lenoris and all these guys, but 2 quarterbacks that are not getting talked about enough are Damon Williams Jr. from Washington and Marcel Reed from A&M. I think A&M could go 10-2, but I've got them 9-3. I've got them 6-2 in the SEC, which, look, I know A&M fans want to make the playoff, but at the end of the day, putting yourself in that position with this schedule, you may still be able to get in. But if you go to South Bend and beat Notre Dame and get to 10-2, I think A&M makes it in.
Talking to Jake Crain here on TexAgs Live. All right, Jake, everybody's got Texas as this juggernaut, this 10-2 team, 11-1 team. Why do you have them at 9-3?
Because at the end of the day, I don't think Arch is the next coming of Jesus himself. Like, I just don't believe that. Not that there's no way he could live up to the hype that they've put on him. I think they're going to lose at Ohio State week 1. And look, the roster around him is really good, but I can give you other rosters that I think that are as good or better around a new quarterback as well. And when I look at Texas and kind of the way this schedule works out, you know, I'm not as in love with them as everybody else is. I know the defense is going to be fine. I think they're going to lose at Ohio State, right? They're obviously going to win their next 3, but they're going to lose to Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. I've got them losing to Oklahoma. I've got them losing at Georgia as well. And at 9-3, I don't know if that gets Texas in. Maybe the Arch factor does. Maybe if Ohio State ends up going undefeated and winning the Big Ten, and that's looked at like a quality loss. But, you know, Blaine and Cone on our show, that they've got them, you know, Texas, I think, both going 11-1. I don't see it. And I think they start off 0-1. And again, at the end of the day, with what they've had to replace, I don't think it's a crazy thing to say. You've had to replace most of your offensive linemen too. And as long as I've been in this, when you have a new quarterback and you had to replace most of your offensive line, it typically doesn't work out well. So I've got them 9-3. I'm not ready to anoint them as, you know, the cream of the crop like most other people yet.
Jake, what about Alabama? I agree with you, by the way. I have them winning the SEC. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, but you can't lose the games that they lost last year and get the kind of bump up I'm giving them. But I'm giving them the bump up.
Well, I mean, every year is different, and I think you can make a legitimate argument that on both sides of the line of scrimmage, Alabama probably has the best 1-2 combo with offensive line and defensive line in the country. And with Ty Simpson, yeah, he's not as great of an improviser as Jalen Milroe, but I think the offense will be more balanced. I think they struggled to run the ball last year because teams dared them to throw. That teams were like, you can't throw to beat us. We're going to stop the run and make Jalen Milroe throw to beat us, which is exactly what I would do. And half of stopping the run was stopping Jalen Milroe on Q power read, things like that. I think getting Ryan Grubb back too was one of the biggest additions for any team in the offseason, not just because of the play calling, but his ability to develop a quarterback and understand the strengths and weaknesses of his quarterback. And plus, they're going to murder Florida State. I'm just telling you right now. Like, I don't know if the spread's still 12.5, but I may put the 401k on that one. They're going to win all their non-con. Got to go to Auburn, and I've got them beating Auburn, but I've got them losing at Georgia. I think they go 11-1. I think they play Georgia in the SEC championship and then lose to Georgia in the SEC championship after that.
Jake, who's an SEC team that will potentially fall flat this year? Somebody that's really going to fall deep or way worse than expectations?
Well, I mean, look, you look at like Kentucky and Mississippi State, but that's no fun to talk about. I'm worried about Tennessee, man. Like, I'm just, again, and it's not just because you lost Nico, and Nico wasn't great last year. Like, I don't think the difference between Nico and Joey Aguilar is some huge gap, but you lost your top 3 pass catchers. You lost your stud running back. You lost a couple pieces on defense. Now, we had the head of the Senior Bowl on. He had Jermon McCoy as the number 1 graded player in college football. So you've got some guys running around on that defense that are going to be talented, but I think they're going to be a weaker version of what they were last year. I don't think the defense is going to be as good. I think the offense is going to take a step back. I've still got Tennessee at 8-4, but I would not be shocked if we looked up and they were 6-6.
Jake, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Hey, anytime, guys. I'm just so glad that football's here, and y'all are the best, man. Tell Billy I said what's up.
I'll do it, man. Thanks so much, Jake.
All right, buddy.
Take
See
care.
ya.
Jake Cran there on TexAgs Live. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, one final segment. All right, Twin Liquors Time, your local home for wine, spirits, and good vibes with over 100 locations. You can find them throughout Central Texas. Celebrate every sip. Twin is here to help you for all of your great matters or your moments that matter. And did you know that your favorite shop not only has excellent selection of wine and spirits, but also hosts in-store events? What you need to do is visit twinliquors.com/events to find an event near you. The dollar sale is coming. Mark your calendar for Thursday, August 28th through Saturday the 30th for 3 days only. The Twin Liquor Drop will price on all wine and spirits to the absolute lowest that they can do. Then they add $1. All right, so the incredible sale is available in order in stores only at Twin Liquor locations. Make sure you visit the website again at twinliquors.com/events. And we are back. Around the SEC, brought to you by the Jaxter Group. Thank you to the good people at the Jaxter Group. And by the way, this final segment is brought to you by Double Dave's. You were saying, sir.
So ESPN released their.
You weren't saying anything. Actually, I just introed you.
Yeah, you did.
Made it awkward.
It was an intro. ESPN released their college football preseason top 25 power rankings, and the Aggies come in at number 15. They acknowledged that losing Le'Veon Moss was a huge blow to the offense. They mentioned the new receivers in Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, as well as Ashton Bethel Roman got a shout out in the article as well.
ABR.
They have Texas A&M at 15, right below Illinois at 14, and right above Florida at number 16.
Okay, I'll take that.
They have Texas at number 1, Georgia at number 4, A&M opponent Notre Dame at number 6, Alabama 7, LSU 8.
Look, regardless of what we think about certain schools, talent is talent, right? And
Yeah.
they've accumulated talent. A&M has talent, but they have to prove that that talent can be developed into this top tier. And I think we got the right guy to do that.
Yeah,
I do.
I think so too.
This is going to be a very important year.
South Carolina comes in at number 12, right above Michigan. Ole Miss at number 20, Oklahoma at 23, and Tennessee at 24 to round out SEC teams in the top 25.
Top 25. Okay. I'm going to give you a project. When are you social centering again?
Friday.
I'm going to give you a project, maybe for Friday.
All right.
Maybe before, but for Friday. Okay.
Sign me up.
All right. Has to do with some of the topics we were talking about. So some people are like, say they're high on A&M, and then you read something different.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the program, let's see. I believe we have the fan show. I believe we have Aaron Torres. I believe we have Stephen McGee. Daniel La Camera. La Camera. America. We'll do that. And we'll also, I don't know. I got some things I wanted to talk about that I didn't get to today. This is going to be a horrible tease for you, but I think you're going to enjoy. That's my way of saying I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. We will see you then. Thanks so much for watching and listening.